All right, so today we're going to cover a topic that's pretty overlooked by new PC builders, and that is general PC maintenance. So we're going to be starting off with your GPU. All right, so after we've powered off our computer the right way and our fans have stopped, there we go. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to cut all power to our power supply by pressing our power switch. We're going to go ahead and we're gonna unplug the power supply. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna drain the PC of all residual power, and that's gonna prevent us from causing a shock, either to us or to any of the components. It's gonna prevent damage, it's also gonna prevent harm. The most obvious thing that we need to do next is go ahead and remove our side panel, and our side panels always have thumb screws on the NZXT H9 case, which is what I have here. We only have one, and that was pretty simple, so we're just gonna take that, we're gonna move it to a safe location. All right, now before you start touching anything, you always wanna discharge any static electricity, and you can simply do this by touching anything that's metal. Boom arm for my mic, it is metal. I think it's aluminum actually. So you just want to touch something if you're going to be doing this with your bare hands at least. Another thing you can do, you can use a rounding bracelet, but let's be honest, those are lame and for losers and nobody uses those, and you wouldn't catch me dead with one of them. Another thing that you need to be aware of, if you're one of those people that are weird and like to, work on your computer while you're wearing nothing but socks or you're standing on carpet, please, for the love of God, do not skate around on your carpet while you're working on your computer, unless you want you and your components to look like the bombing of Nagasaki. Wow, that was a terrible analogy. I am so sorry. Another thing you can do, which is what I will be doing for this demonstration, you can wear latex gloves. It's time for your checkup. All right, so every graphics card is held in place, normally with 2 or 3 screws, depending on your graphics card. So we're just gonna go ahead and we are going to remove those screws with our trusty PC screwdriver. All right, and there's screw number 2. So we're just gonna set that aside. What do you see here that we still need to do? That's right, if you guessed it, PCI-E cables. With these, you can't just yank them out like a psychopath. No, there's a clip. On mine, the clip is on the bottom, but depending on your GPU, the orientation might be different. It might be flipped upside down. You can kind of see them underneath right there. Yep, there you go. And it might take a little bit of force. You might have to wobble them a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and just do what we can here. You need to just take it with ease. Take it slow, take it nice, like it's your first time. And there we go, we got it. Do not just yank your GPU out of your motherboard like you're performing some kind of like botched childbirth. No, we're not doing that here. We don't do that. On my motherboard, I have an older gen, so the release lever is actually directly behind the card itself. And that's right around there. That's what that little black piece is. You see it. So what I like to do, my secret weapon, is a wooden chopstick. We just want to take that. We want to press on the lever release without really scraping our GPU. I know I rubbed it on the GPU, but it'll be fine. Go ahead and press that all the way, and you'll see the GPU shifts. All right, and this is actually the part where I need to remind you that whenever you're doing this, make sure your GPU is unplugged, because I've made that mistake. I think everybody has made that mistake at some point. Let's just go ahead, and we are good, we are free, we are golden. It's a boy! And that is a GPU in all its glory.
Yeah, boy.
I don't actually have another GPU I'm gonna be switching out with, so I'm just gonna reinstall my old 2080 Super. It is still kicking strong. It still does good in games, though it is reaching kind of the end of its life, but that's for another day. So we're just gonna do everything we did, but in reverse now. One thing that's key when you're doing this, you need to be aware of, is on the actual back of the card itself, you'll see these 2 notches kinda. Or prongs, I don't know what you can really call them, but those actually need to click in. Oops. Those go into that space between your motherboard and your PC case. So that's what that gap is. All right, so we're gonna do this again. And you'll hear a click when it actually clicks in. You hear that? That was the click. So now that our GPU is in place, we are good to go ahead and start putting our screws back in to secure it. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do that real quick. All right, so this next part here is where you need to be a little careful. Here, this one has got the 8 pins on it. we need to make sure that that is aligned with the way that this is. So with that, we're good. The square is in the bottom corner, the rounded ones are on top, and there's one square in the top left corner of that. So we're just gonna go ahead and we are going to connect that. And then with this guy, I think we're in the right orientation as is. Yes, we are. And again, just be mindful of where your clip is, because remember, like I said, the orientation can be different depending on the GPU that you have. Now, make sure when you plug your HDMI cord back in, make sure you're plugging into your GPU and not your motherboard. Otherwise, you will not get any display. And then we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna plug power supply back in, and we're gonna flip our power switch. We're gonna turn this guy on. So whenever you do a GPU change, if you're upgrading from 2080 Super, let's say a 5070 Ti, I always like to make a habit to reinstall the graphics drivers, because you're going basically from an older model GPU to a newer one. All right, so what we're gonna do once we're in the software, and this is Nvidia App. I already have the most recent drivers installed, but the process is still gonna be the same. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna click on drivers. I'm gonna click on reinstall, but if you didn't install the drivers, this would be lit up green and it would just say install instead. We're gonna click on that. And this is important right here. We're not gonna use express installation. We are actually gonna use custom installation instead. Now, the reason why we wanna do this is because with custom installation, we're gonna actually set it up to uninstall the old drivers and then reinstall the newest drivers for the graphics card we just installed. So we're gonna keep all this checked, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna check clean installation, and this is what uninstalls the old drivers. So after we've done that, we're just gonna click on continue, and then we're gonna let it load and do its thing. All right, so after you boot your computer back up, you should automatically be met with a screen like this after the update completely finishes. So you'll see it'll say installation is finished. It's got pretty much just an overview of everything it did. So we can just go ahead and close this out. Now, just keep in mind, this is not the only way to update your drivers. You can also do this directly on Nvidia's website, or I even think on AMD's website if you have one of their graphics cards. This is just the way I've done it, the way I've always done it for the past 5-6 years. So it's just the method I use. I'm gonna take my gloves off for this part because we don't need them anymore. If you guys stayed to the very end of this video, I just want to thank you. And if you gained anything out of this video at all, even the slightest bit of knowledge, maybe something you didn't know before, I just ask that you consider, maybe even subscribing, because this is actually going to be the first in a series of how-tos on how to maintain your computer. I'm going to go into the details of, how to set up fans, how to hook them up, how to swap out your motherboard, pretty much how to do an entire build. So we'll go through component by component though. I'm not going to throw everything at you at once. I like you to be able to reference a certain thing. So if you struggle with that, you can go back and watch it. So this is only part 1, but with all that being said, I'm gonna stop rambling on. If you guys enjoyed this video, smack that like button, hit a follow possibly, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.